Hi everyone, Olena from Acurast here. I'm really excited to bring two projects together today and discuss this beautiful partnership between Apillon and Acurast and maybe interrogate the speakers a little bit. That's my personal hobby. And yeah, learn the latest news in the deep in space. I hope our listeners get to learn more about you. And I myself, I'm really curious to learn a lot more about Apollon. So maybe we can start with some introductions. We have Alessandro De Carli from Accurist, Nino and Damian from Apollon. Nino, how about you go first?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sure. Thank you for the introduction and obviously for the invitation. It is great to respond to you, to Acurast always, especially now that Acurast is already integrated into Apelon. But yeah, for the introduction, like you said, my name is Nino. I'm a Chief Product Officer at Apelon. So I'm mostly responsible and for the product vision, and which also dictates the integrations and our features and services. Yeah, I've been in crypto since 2016, dealing with different projects from centralized exchanges and trading, and now with Apelon into Web3. So yeah, super happy to be here as well.
Beautiful, thank you. Damian, what about you?
Hi everyone, thanks for the invitation. Happy to be here. My name is Damian. I'm the lead developer of Apillon, and I was also leading the development of Apillon's cloud functions, which are built on top of the Acurast protocol. And we are very excited for this integration. We're looking forward to it being used by many developers, allowing them to decentralize their whole application layer. And we look forward to many exciting things happening in the future as well.
We are very excited as well. Thanks. Alessandro, your turn now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also obviously very excited about this partnership. For the ones that don't know me yet, my name is Alessandro. I'm the co-founder at Acurast, and we've been now building together with Apillon this integration for quite some time in the back, and I'm super excited that now we managed to release something together that actually is really useful. I'm also very grateful for all the work and effort that has been put in by the Appilan team. I know that the early days of Acurast were a little bit choppier. We also managed to improve on many things thanks to this integration. And yeah, I'm super excited to be shedding more, well, discussing more about the integration and how we came to this point. Yes.
So I would be actually really curious to learn more about Apollon. Nino, could you tell us, give us a brief overview of what you guys do?
Sure. Apelon is a Web3 development platform. That's the shortest possible description. But putting it a little bit into context, for those of you who are here and listening, and are familiar with the early internet, or maybe internet like 20 years ago, we already had different servers and capacity of hosting websites or web applications. But there were some toolings and solutions which made this really approachable and commercial, similar to either cPanel for those of you who really started early, maybe Firebase, which came later as a backend as a service, which kind of essentially, if we translate both of those tools, they abstract away the complexities of whatever is running in the background. So in Web2, those would be typical LAMP or XAMPP stack servers with databases, etc. And for a user to set up a website, they needed to configure this somehow and cPanel did a great job there, and it was widely and still is widely popular amongst let's say all the WordPress websites probably run through different cPanel or similar solutions. Then later you have Firebase, which basically enables a front-end developer without really understanding the backend or having the need to even configure the backend. But they can just approach over APIs, really neatly packed SDKs. So we all understand that once you have the new technology, you need also some sort of tooling which decreases the complexity, which improves the development experience, and essentially provides convenience, speed, and ease. So I think this is what Appian is trying to capture, with the sole difference that we are providing those services and APIs, SDK, CLI, so very similar tools to what you would get in Web 2, but we are utilizing Web 3 solutions in the background. So if you today go to Appian, you will find most of the services you need to build the full dApp, which comes from storage, hosting. This is derived from Cross-Parachain on Polkadot. Then we have embedded wallets, which is derived from Oasis, and several other services. But most important for today is Acurast, which we used to derive cloud functions, which essentially means you can describe some sort of decentralized backend for your dApp and start interacting with it. So yeah, I would say this is Appian, and it enables almost anyone with front-end knowledge or Web 2 knowledge to start building within Web 3.
Thank you for sharing that. Alessandro, could you tell us a little bit how Appian and Acurast came together, and what's the story behind this collaboration, and of course, what Acurast is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a couple of touch points already a couple of years back, and always stayed in touch. I know that because also my co-founder Pascal was talking about Appian for quite some time now. For me, when I first met the team and had more meaningful, let's say, interactions, it was last year in Thailand, Bangkok, at one of the events. And yeah, I think it was really, really cool to find someone to talk to that really got what we were doing, and also saw the value behind it, and started to get their fingers dirty with the technology. And as I mentioned before, helped us also improve quite a ton on the developer experience side. I feel like the cool thing that now developers get out of this is they really have, I mean, looking at the entire stack from Appian, a developer receives a full package with batteries included. And I think that's amazing. And I'm really, really grateful that Acurast is one part of that stack, where people can then, as already mentioned, start creating computations that otherwise you cannot do on-chain, but still have them done in a verifiable and confidential way. And basically, yeah, also allow them to build things that were not possible before. And I think, yeah, what accuracy is, just in a nutshell, is basically, now I quickly broke off, a way of rethinking the internet. I think we live in a world where everything started off with the user in the focus, where we would build stuff and add value so that the user would get as much value as possible. This led to the hyperscalers become very, very large. And at some point, sadly, along the journey, the user was no longer in the center. I think now it's more about the shareholders and the stocks of these hyperscalers. And the problem with that is that now you have this very democratic place, which is the internet, where everybody is equal and gets equal chances, while actually a lot of the power lies with just a handful of companies. And I think it's really important for humanity as such to bring back that value to the user, find also technology that has the user's best interest in mind. And that's what we're doing with Acurast, basically allowing users to provide for other users their compute in form of mobile devices, because mobile devices are in the end the vast majority of compute that is out there. We have annually about 13 million servers being shipped, while you have 1.2 billion mobile devices. So it's pretty clear that if you try to rethink the internet, try to rethink compute, try to have something that brings back the power to the user, you will definitely start with these compute units, and that's what Acurast is doing. Now, specifically relevant for this conversation is the other part of the equation, namely who is utilizing those compute units. Most of the time, these are, I mean, of course, end users that consume applications, but also developers. And I see that Apillon is a great tool to enable developers. And as it was already mentioned, I mean, bringing people the tools they expect from the Web 2 world to the Web 3 world, so that we can all push for this revolution and new way of thinking about the internet.
Thank you, Alessandro. It seems that Acurast and Apillon both have a very unique mission in the Web3 space. It's clear that innovation is at the heart of this partnership. Damian, could you share what fuels your passion for innovation?
Sure. Web3 has always been a part of my journey towards innovation ever since I got involved in the space, which was around the year 2019 or 2020. Ever since then, I've been inspired by this technology of the blockchain, which I understand myself as a way of having a permissionless ledger somewhere on the internet where people can interact with, and everybody gets the equal opportunity and equal chance to become a part of it. So you don't need to ask anybody's permission to join this whole ecosystem or this whole, let's say, web of things happening, and everybody has an equal opportunity to contribute as well, not just be a part of it. You don't need to have any centralized authority or any entity which governs who is allowed to do what. And this is like a decentralized permissionless ledger, which is basically the whole blockchain technology itself. And ever since then, I've been driven to contribute to this space, and that's mainly the reason that I move forward and I want to contribute more to this space. And I think our values at Apillon are also very much aligned with the values that Acurast has to drive and keep the ball moving forward towards a more decentralized space in order to bring power back to the people. And if we can, in my opinion, if we can empower developers and builders to come into the space and enable them to contribute more easily or build things more easily, do it in a more facilitated way or even a more fun way that doesn't include all the centralized guardrails that currently exist, then I think that's the way moving forward of how we can contribute to this space becoming even more empowered by more people. And that also drives the innovation further, where all Web3 people can sort of be part of the whole space. And that's how innovation always drives forward. I think it all starts with the builders and the things that they contribute to the network, and that's when, so when builders contribute, and then the users come, and that's when the whole thing comes together. And I think this is what we're doing to improve the whole space. That's mainly what drives me forward in this space.
Maybe if I could add something to this, um, it's really important to see that the technology of Web3 is actually pretty new, but it's gaining a lot of traction and also the adoption thereof. And I think that looking at now another space, which is the AI space, you really do see how this nature of collaboration actually is even capable of delivering solutions that are way better than centralized solution. And what I'm referring to here is everybody knows OpenAI, which is, by the way, the most misleading name out there because there's not a lot of open or open source with OpenAI, but everybody knows ChatGPT basically, and their solution is really good. People like it, use it, it's useful, and so on and so forth. Most people don't understand the implications of using that service. They don't understand maybe that sharing all of your personal details could lead to potentially a problem because those data points that we're sharing are basically not being used in your best interest, but in that company's best interest, whatever that means. I mean, they will try to monetize it somehow, but that's a different topic. But what I think is interesting about that space is that if we then take a look at the counterpart, which is Hugging Face with all the open source models and all the research being pushed there, you can really see that they're able to catch up very quickly with the new models that OpenAI releases, but then with way less resources, able to come up with even better solutions. And this idea of openness and bringing back, well, basically making sure that everyone gets equal chances and have this very democratic technology taking over, I think is what is basically at the root of Web3. And that's why I also believe that it's not by chance that innovation and Web3 goes hand in hand on that side. Those are my 2 cents.
I mean, this really underscores the potential of decentralized technology. And my next question is actually, what do you think is the most exciting thing about combining Acurast's decentralized compute with Apillon's Web3 platform? Besides the challenges that you've just mentioned, how does this partnership will help all of us and resolve the challenges in the Web3 development today?
Maybe I can kick this off. So putting together the stack we currently have and picking from whatever parachains were already out there on Polkadot, it was very clear, and also looking at other existing dApps that are already out there, etc., and understanding the promises of Web3 regarding decentralization, unstoppability, privacy, etc. Once you go deep enough, and you don't really have to go deep to figure out that there is still a lot of dependency to centralized services within Web3. There is almost no really successful dApp which doesn't have at least some touch point here and there. There are backups on alternative protocols such as IPFS, and in theory or even in practice, certain amount of users could operate completely decentralized and permissionless, but it is not completely true for majority of users. And thinking about again going back to either cPanel or Firebase, even specifically Firebase, there was this need to introduce some sort of backend or something that translates into cloud functions, something that gives developer on our platform ability to do back calls, right? So to kind of improve their logic or to deploy their logic into something that is Web3. And I remember I met Pascal like 2 years ago in Lisbon. I think at that point this was Acurast was still an idea, or it was slowly coming together. And he was describing, yes, we will have the scripts on IPFS, and then our compute will grab those scripts and execute them. And we already were touching IPFS at the point, and I was like, okay, this sounds really great. We are heavily inspired by Firebase, and writing few lines of code or maybe a lot of code doesn't really matter, but deploying it as a cloud function, which you can then rely that it will execute your business logic. Well, this sounds very, very tempting. So I think this is what Acurast integration, this is the role this integration plays within our stack. It was a heavily missed piece. Because without it, the business logic, so a non-smart contract part of your dApp will have to sit on a centralized server. So I think for me, this was the last missing piece in our stack.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And looking at also other projects that are utilizing Acurast, it's actually similar. If you're building projects that are like DeFi projects, they will always require some sort of triggers from the outside, some sort of recurring tasks, some sort of data points that they need to collect and observe. The same holds true, by the way, also for NFT platforms that also will have some sort of recurring tasks. And I think that's exactly what we started with at Acurast. By now, the execution environment actually was equipped with way more features and bangs and whistles, but that was really the core idea, and we haven't changed since quite some time. That offering or that value, and I'm really happy to see that this is now all coming together and being integrated in a composable way with Apillon. I think that's another kind of pillar and reason why Web3 is the only way to go. You basically have all these cool applications that offer APIs and talk all over the same ledger in an open way, open and secure way. And this means that they can integrate completely fluidly with one another. And we've seen that a lot in the DeFi space with Ethereum, where one protocol could be used to swap a token, the other one could be used for loans, yet another one could create kind of perpetuals and futures and options. And all of that magic would just happen kind of on chain, and people would be able then to create these amazing bots that would find the best deals for whatever intention the user had. I think this composability needs to also come to the compute space. And basically, this integration with Apillon is a testament for that idea, because we didn't have to open up the system just specifically for Apillon. Of course, we needed to share details on documentation and all that kind of stuff. But per se, the entire system is entirely permissionless, and they could just integrate it and in their system. That, by the way, is not even utilizing than Acurast tokens. Like that's completely abstracted away from the developer, which I think is also absolutely amazing because that's the way to go. You cannot expect a developer to basically first, yeah, onboard onto 7 different platforms before they can start utilizing the service that they want to use. I think this needs to be completely abstracted away from the user in one coherent kind of user experience, and I think Apillon is doing that very nicely. I used it as well for Acurast. I know what is going on in the background, but the user does not necessarily see that. And I think that's the beauty of this integration as well.
Damian, is there anything you'd like to add from Apillon's side?
Yeah, the thing that excites me here, just to maybe add a couple of my personal thoughts on what Nino and Alessandro said. As a developer, having built many dApps before, and also interacted with developers who have been building dApps themselves, I think this is one of the key pieces of the puzzle when it comes to building actual decentralized applications. Like you can build everything. For example, you build all the smart contract infrastructure, you can integrate some wallet infrastructure, make it fully decentralized and permissionless to use your dApp, right? But then what happens as soon as you need some kind of compute or you need some kind of storage and some logic integrated on top of your data, you immediately need some kind of backend server in order to, first of all, protect your data and your secrets, and then also perform some compute which is done off chain or which is done outside of the client in order to offload the compute power. But then what happens, there is no actual way for the developers to come and do this in a way that is fully decentralized. So the thing that almost always happens is they restore it to some kind of centralized backend, whether that's on some cloud like AWS or Google Cloud or any other provider, or maybe even a one which they hosted themselves, but that still makes it centralized, right? So there is always this missing puzzle that makes it have a single point of failure, and also does not make it fully censorship resistant and fully unstoppable. And with this, I think Acurast here was the ideal fit for us because of this reason. Due to its mobile-based decentralized compute capabilities, of course, and this fits perfectly into our platform. It enables us to deliver a secure, decentralized, and also efficient off-chain computation for developers. And I think that once we have this part fully covered, which we now do, and also make it usable for the developers who are probably not so familiar with Web3, but have come, for example, from the Web2 space, and that has always been Apillon's mission. So right now that we have this piece of the puzzle brought onto the table, we can really talk about building completely and fully decentralized and unstoppable applications. That's what makes me very excited about this integration.
Hey, it's really exciting to hear about all of these possibilities for the developers. So, if I were a developer and I wanted to start using your tools today, what would my first step be?
We deliver multiple solutions and modalities to allow the developers to come and build onto Apillon. So first of all, primarily we have our web development platform, or developer console as we call it. This is like a cloud platform that developers can create an account on, then log in and start using all of our services natively to the dashboard interface. And the goal always for Apillon was to bring the same experience to the users and developers that they are used to already for other platforms before. So, for example, Google's Google Drive for storage, or AWS for developers who want to deploy some kind of solution or application on it. We want to deliver the completely same experience, but under the hood, it is fully decentralized and completely is in line with the Web3 ethos. And so to get started, all you need to do is just go to our platform, Apillon.io, make an account, and you can already start using our services through our dashboard. But on the other hand, for somebody who is more tech savvy or wants to integrate our services as part of their application, they can do this through our tooling that we offer, which includes APIs, SDKs, and a CLI tool. And we keep on working to expand our set of services and platforms that we target, also programming languages. And currently we also support mobile. For example, we have the Flutter framework, but the easiest way to get started is to just get onboarded on our platform. And in there, you will find everything you need to build your decentralized application start to finish.
That's really exciting for all of the developers listening. Um, Alessandro, so this it sounds like this collaboration is shaping the future of decentralized cloud services. What do you think will happen with this adoption in the future?
Well, I think that first of all, I believe this is just the beginning of our integration with Apillon. I think it's a team that communicates and speaks the same language as we do. It's a team that does not get too distracted with vaporware and, let's say, just marketing promises. And yeah, that's very much in line with the values and philosophy that we have at Acurast. As we progress with further expanding the runtime with new features and functionalities, and by the way, there will be quite a nice announcement coming out this week with the roadmap going further. I think those, let's say, raw pieces will need then to also be created a developer experience for developers that are maybe not that technical in depth and are coming from the Web3 from the Web2 space that don't have that knowledge. I think this is where then Apillon can actually come in and craft a user and developer experience that makes all of this technology way more accessible and also relatable. And I'm super excited about this specifically. Yeah, that's probably what I have to say on that side.
Thank you. Nino, looking ahead, are there any upcoming exciting events or tools that our audience should look out to learn more about your solutions?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we do have several plans ahead, and we're putting together a roadmap for the next year. It is this exciting time of the year, December, and you have to think forward. But yeah, we have a lot of ideas. First thing that's going to happen is we're living in a fast-paced integration focused mode for quite some time. We've expanded our services to an extent where we are meeting the minimum threshold that we set ourselves. So we kind of believe right now developers do have almost everything they need. So now we need to look back into our product and start figuring out how do we further improve the developer experience? How do we put services into a bigger context? Because right now, let's say one of our services is storage and one of our services is Cloud Functions by Acurast. Well, once you have these two connected, well, if you are able to find the synergy between them, then you are able to showcase this synergy in the UI. So let's say you have a developer who would like to either encrypt some files before they go into the IPFS, so this decentralized storage, or maybe they would like to resize those files, etc. This is where they can utilize Cloud Functions and do them in a safe, decentralized manner. But for this to happen, we need to go back into the product and start thinking, how do we push the developer into having those thoughts and into thinking about cloud functions, storage, and other services from the standpoint of that architecture. How do we give good templates for cloud functions and documentation? How do we package maybe pre-made solutions which are utilizing several of our services and open sourcing them, so a developer can take a boilerplate template and say, okay, so this is how I should be thinking across these services and putting it all together. And I think this is the next step. So if we're now really quickly integrating and iterating on this end, well, now we'll sit down and do some retrospective and find where we did some mistakes and how to make this even more polished. So I think this is our first step. Then we have some of the integrations already planned. Maybe one really worth mentioning are decentralized databases. So we all know not everything fits on chain, not everything should be on chain, and databases play, very, very crucial role in the current internet. So yeah, we do have a specific provider already and a partner which we will integrate. And this, I think, will be one of the new services that we provide. But everything else will be mostly focused into making stuff better and focusing on the education, focusing on the growth. But from the announcements of what I can make to the general public is, we are now thinking how to put our token into the platform, giving our developers the capabilities to participate within the product decision making over governance, how to give them some real power, how to utilize our tokens into incentives of building Web3. Filtering out, really cool projects from spam. So yeah, I would say these are the primary topics that we are discussing and putting down on the roadmap.
It seems like 2025 is going to be a very exciting year for a lot of projects. Alessandro, on a personal note, what is something that really excites you about Web3 right now?
Well, I'm very vocal about it. I think the entire deepin space is bringing back a lot of the values why I came into Web3 and decided to dedicate a big part of my personal and professional life to this movement. And I think I'm seeing a lot of those values coming back with deepin. And that is a topic that I believe at the moment we're just barely scratching the surface, and is the killer use case of Web3 in general. I think the ability to organize humans in a decentralized way, the ability to organize infrastructure in a decentralized way, is a big strength of these ledgers and permissionless transaction systems. And that's what ultimately excites me the most. That's also why I'm building Acurast. I think the compute space specifically is one that is often overlooked. And also, I think we touched a little bit on that topic with some of the comments before. But often you see these Web3 projects that are trying to decentralize all the things. But if you then look under the hood, all of their compute and everything is still on AWS, Google, and so on and so forth. And this was, I mean, we came to this point. I don't know when that really happened, but it used to be way different. It used to be that you would really try to decentralize everything and come up with solutions that don't have something that people cannot host on their own to then bring back the utility of whatever decentralized application they were building, to now having basically everything completely centralized. And I think Acura's our mission, or at least my ambition, is to definitely be filling exactly that gap and bringing back the decentralized in decentralized applications from the very foundation of the compute all the way then obviously to the smart contracts and so on. That's then not necessarily something that Acurast is offering, like the entire smart contract functionality, but obviously Acurast does interact a lot with smart contracts and is very good at it. We are securing more than 200 million worth of assets today with basically Acurast processors that are utilizing their secure element of the mobile device to offer that service. And I think that is the key here. I also believe, however, that the market goes well beyond Web3. I think a lot of people will see the value behind confidential AI and confidential compute. And those people will become users of Acurast as well. I think now the genie is out of the bottle. We see that many of the community members at Acurast get it. We see immense traction of people onboarding their spare phones. We also have the iOS release right around the corner. I think that was a big milestone that also was delayed a little bit by the Apple review. But yeah, I think super exciting times ahead. And DeepIn, and more specifically the compute sector, is something that I'm very much excited about.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm also personally really excited for the deep in space. What about you, Nina or Damian? Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, sure. I would like to maybe just connect to what Alessandro just said. The genie is out of the bottle, right? So we kind of went into this rapid growth of Web2, of different apps appearing every week, of users registering with their email to all those apps. And then, this all data gets accrued on a specific provider or two, because basically they just simply won the market. And at that point, our privacy started to get exploited to some extent, right? So we needed to scale in a good way. And then something needed to happen for us to become aware of this problem. So introducing Web3 with the monetary capabilities of blockchain, and obviously introducing the AI, which is then able to also make some sort of decision, and empowering AI to also do the financial actions. We now have so many different tools and capabilities we never had before, which means whatever is going to happen in the Web3 future, it is going to be innovative. We will see, either big or tiny communities who will control the business logic or algorithms of their apps. We will see incentivization across the financial aspect of the Web3. We will see communities living basically within Web3 because of Web3 and also from Web3. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how people will innovate, especially because crypto part is inherently attached to the Web3 part. So yeah, I fully agree with Alessandro, what he's saying, and DeepIn and what Acurast is doing is such a great example of this. of this rebellious movement against centralized providers.
Amen to that. I think, yeah, it's yeah. Ultimately, people are always slow in adopting new technology until they aren't, and I can see it already now that people I mean, you see it now with Bitcoin specifically, that people are fed up with intransparent system and just getting screwed over by politicians that want to get all the power over them. And now basically the Bitcoin as an asset, but then also Bitcoin as a financial system is kind of the middle finger to all of that old legacy system that enslaved you, basically. I can see that the same is going to apply also to other topics, and it's all about technology organizing people around a specific goal. This is what blockchains are very well suited for, because you have full transparency, accountability, and this permissionlessness where basically everybody's equal. And I think, yeah, that will definitely not go away. Also, looking at the geopolitical landscape nowadays, this is just something that is going to stay and is going to stay relevant. And that's also the reason why I decided to basically focus on this. I mean, you should focus on things that are not the immediate next hype, but focus on things that will be true also in 5 to 10 years, even 20 years. And I think the wish for a fair solution to organize humans, that need will never go away. I think that will always stay. I think it's inherent in humans. And that's why this technology will also not go away. How fast it's getting adopted, I don't know. I think it still is early, but that's a little bit the way I see this whole movement.
Well, organizing humans is an important thing in our world indeed. This has been an insightful discussion so far. Thank you, speakers. I think we'll now take a moment to answer some audience questions. We actually already have one. This is for Acurast. Regarding the confidential compute for AI, how will Acurast make sure that the compute power is enough to run complex models?
Well, you will make sure. You as the community will make sure that the computational power offered will be enough. No, jokes aside, we have today more than 25,000 compute units in form of smartphones, basically, and the computational power ranges from a 4-core to 8-core machine with 8 to 24 gigabytes of RAM. So it's already quite powerful. It's super powerful compared to, I mean, machines of 5 to 8 years ago. But also by today's standards, you can do a lot of things with that compute. Now, obviously, large language models are very well known to be super memory hungry. And if the model does not fit inside the memory, you will end up in a situation where it's effectively not possible to run the model because of the overhead. And we've been now working for more than half a year on a solution, which is not out yet, but that allows basically people to create clusters where if you have then, let's say, 10, 20 devices, and these devices offer 8 gigabytes of RAM, you can pool them together. Now, the cool thing about mobile devices is that they come equipped with USB 3.2. That means that they have up to 40 gigabits of communication bandwidth. And that makes it also very suitable for this kind of cluster-like setups. And I believe that that's basically one of the next milestones for Acurast to release that so that basically you are no longer bound by the limitations of the single machine, but can then expand beyond that. You can already do that today, by the way. I mean, Acurast is completely permissionless, and you can choose how many devices are running whatever you want them to run. And you can then also choose on how they should be talking with each other and synchronizing and coordinating. But obviously, not everyone has time to create that orchestration and coordination layer. That's why we saw that probably it would make sense if we would step in and offer that abstraction to developers. And that's how ultimately we'll be able to also launch the largest large language models. We already did POCs, and those worked pretty well. It looks very promising. Yes. Also, the other thing worth mentioning here is that everybody is kind of optimizing for the memory consumption. You have about 10 new papers coming out for that specific research papers, for that specific topic every single week. And the progress and the pace at which improvements are being made is really quite insane because you have so many excited people. So what I also would like to say is that, yes, clustering can be the solution there as well for other things. So I think that's something that we should definitely continue and also ship. But I also believe that it won't take long and you can run even the performance-wise large models even on smaller devices. So yes, that's maybe a little bit a longer answer for a very short question.
Well, EL9 listener, I hope this answers your question. And Apillon team, will we see you anywhere this year? Are you attending any upcoming events, conferences? Are you hosting any workshops where we can catch you?
Yeah, so we are attending NFT Paris in February. That one we know for sure. Everything else is still in planning mode. So typically we would visit either Denver and almost all Polkadot events. Maybe for this year, the program will be slightly different. But yeah, the announcements will come probably in the first quarter of most of the conferences where you can see us. For those of you who are close to Slovenia, we're based in Ljubljana, and we do host events, Web3 events, Polkadot events. I think we've held between 10 and 15 events in the past 2 years. So we typically have between 50 and 70 people. So if you're close by, this also goes obviously for Acurast team. If you were ever want to talk to our community here, you're more than welcome. And definitely the third will be some sort of bounty program will be published in the next year on Apillon. So you will be able to participate, build and earn some rewards. We're also looking into hackathons. So talking about the minimum threshold of services being met and some of the UX polishing which is underway. I think we're in the right mode to start doing hackathons as well and getting some cool products built on Apple. So unfortunately, I don't have very specific dates, but yeah, this is the general idea. If you are interested, follow us on Twitter. That's where we announce everything we do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It was actually really exciting to get to know you better, Nina and Damian. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. Thank you, Alessandro. And thank you to everyone who joined us. If you're as excited as I am about what is happening here, be sure to follow Apillon and Acurast for updates. Thank you, everyone, for joining again. And if you have any final remarks, please go ahead.
I really love this spaces. I think it was, yeah, I think maybe a bit technical, but in general, I was very happy to be here. Thank you, Elena, for organizing this. Thank you, Nina and Damien, as well, for joining. And yeah, I'm super excited about our collaboration in the future as well. I think, as I already mentioned, this is just the beginning. Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for inviting us, and yeah, let's keep in touch. I think we can still do a lot of things together. So yeah.
Thank you, Acurast team. It was a pleasure, as always.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice afternoon, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.